For a moment, a simple interview turned into something much bigger. Bruno Mars was talking about his upcoming return to South Korea when the conversation suddenly shifted to Rose, and one very public invitation that immediately sent fans into a frenzy. He wants Rose back on stage with him. The moment came during a recent interview with South Korean broadcaster MBC, published on August 27th, as Mars discussed his upcoming Korean concerts and his connection with the country. What began as a question about performing in Korea quickly became a playful but surprisingly direct message to his former collaborator. "I gotta get Rosie up there," Mars said, calling on Rose directly. He then asked what it would take for the two of them to perform together in Korea again, describing the potential reunion as a full circle moment. He followed the heartfelt request with a joke that instantly became the headline. "She's expensive these days. She doesn't even answer my calls." The contrast was what made the moment so memorable. 1 second, Mars was talking seriously about wanting to share a Korean stage with Rose. The next, he was joking about whether he could even afford her and complaining that she no longer answers his calls. For fans watching the interview, it was the kind of unexpected celebrity moment that feels spontaneous rather than carefully rehearsed. But underneath the joke was a genuine desire. Mars was not announcing that Rose had agreed to appear. He was not confirming a booking. And there was no official statement from Rose saying that she would join him. Instead, he made his wish unmistakably clear. If the opportunity comes together, he wants it to happen in Korea. That distinction matters. The story is not that Rose is confirmed for the show. The story is that one of the world's biggest pop stars publicly asked his collaborator to return to the stage with him, and he did it while preparing for a major Korean concert run. The timing makes the moment even more significant. Mars is scheduled to return to South Korea next May as part of his ongoing romantic tour. According to reporting published after the interview, he is set to perform 4 shows at Goyang Stadium beginning May 21, 2027. The upcoming concerts represent his latest major return to a country where his relationship with local audiences has changed dramatically since his collaboration with Rose. And that change is something Mars himself has acknowledged. His connection with Korean audiences became even stronger after APT exploded internationally. The song was not simply another collaboration. It became a cultural crossover moment, bringing together a Korean New Zealand pop star with one of America's most recognizable performers. The track's origins were unusually personal. Producer Circuit previously explained that Rose introduced the songwriting group to the Korean drinking game that inspired the song. According to his account, she began chanting, "Apatu, Apatu," after explaining the game, and the room immediately recognized the potential. "And that was it. We knew we had to make that song," Circuit recalled. That simple idea became a global phenomenon. APT eventually became one of the defining pop collaborations of its era, blending Rose's K-pop identity with Mars' funk, pop and live performance style. Circuit described the song as a meeting point between Rose's K-pop world and Mars' musical identity, emphasizing how the Korean language hook helped make the track distinctive in the mainstream market. The song's success also transformed the meaning of a potential performance in Korea. This would not simply be 2 famous singers performing an old hit. It would bring the song back to the cultural environment that helped inspire it in the first place. That is why Mars' phrase, "full circle moment," carries more weight than the joke about money. The collaboration has already traveled an extraordinary distance. APT began with a Korean drinking game chant in a studio session. It became an international hit, Rose and Mars later performed it together on one of the biggest stages in the world, the 68th Grammy Awards. On February 1, 2026, the pair opened the Grammy ceremony at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles with Apt. Their performance featured Mars on guitar, and the two sharing the stage for the energetic collaboration. The performance immediately reinforced the unusual chemistry that had made the song so successful. For Mars, that Grammy performance represented another chapter in a collaboration that had already crossed borders, languages, and genres. Now, Korea could become the next chapter. That is what makes the MBC interviews so compelling. Rather than presenting the possibility as a carefully negotiated corporate announcement, Mars essentially put the invitation into the public record himself. He looked toward Rose through the interview and asked what he needed to do to make the performance happen. It was direct. It was funny. And it was unmistakably personal. Fans immediately focused on the line about Rose being expensive. Taken literally, the comment could sound like a discussion about booking fees. But the context makes clear that Mars was joking. The humor came from pretending that Rose had become so successful that even he might struggle to afford her for a performance. Then came the second punchline: she does not answer his calls. That line created an entirely different wave of reactions. For fans who have followed the two artists since Apt, the idea of Mars joking publicly about trying to reach Rose was almost too perfect. Their professional relationship has already included studio sessions, interviews, award season appearances, and a Grammy performance. And there is another layer to the story. The two artists have previously revealed that they recorded more music together during the Apt sessions. In a Billboard interview, Mars confirmed that additional material existed while explaining that they were still figuring out when and how it might be released. That means Apt may not represent the full creative story between the two artists. There is already unreleased material somewhere in the background. There is an established working relationship. There is a proven live chemistry. And now there is a public invitation for another performance. Still, fans should be careful not to turn possibility into confirmation. Nothing in the MBC interview confirms that Rose has accepted the invitation. There is currently no official announcement saying that she will appear at the Goyang Stadium concerts. The most accurate description is simple: Mars wants her there. And that alone is significant. Celebrity collaborations are often surrounded by layers of management, scheduling, contracts, and production logistics. A performer can want another artist on stage and still be unable to make it happen. International schedules can collide. Touring commitments can change. Rehearsals can become complicated. And an artist's appearance may depend on much more than a simple invitation. But by making the request publicly, Mars has changed the conversation. Now, if Rose does appear, fans will remember exactly where the idea started. They will remember the interview. They will remember the joke. And they will remember the moment Mars looked into the camera and essentially asked Rose what it would take to bring Apt back to Korea. That is the emotional center of this story. It is not really about whether Rose is expensive. It is about how far the song has taken both artists. When Apt was created, there was no guarantee it would become a global anthem. The concept came from something as ordinary as a drinking game chant. The producers were experimenting. Rose was introducing collaborators to something from her Korean background. A creative spark turned into a melody, and that melody eventually became one of the biggest collaborations of the period. Producer Circuit's account captures the unpredictability of that moment. The group had been working on another song, everyone was tired, and Rose casually introduced the chant. Instead of ending the session, the idea redirected it. That is often how major pop moments happen. Not through a giant plan. Through an unexpected idea that someone recognizes at exactly the right time. Mars recognized what APT could become. Rose brought the cultural reference. The producers shaped the sound. And audiences around the world completed the process by turning the song into a phenomenon. Now Mars wants to bring that story back to the place where its Korean identity matters most. South Korea is not simply another stop on the romantic tour. For Mars, it has become part of the story surrounding APT and his evolving relationship with Korean fans. He has spoken about how different the reception feels now, especially because of Rose and the collaboration. Earlier reporting on the pair's work noted Mars saying that Korea feels different to him after APT, and that Rose played a major role in that change. That makes his latest comments sound less like a random celebrity shout-out and more like a continuation of a story that has been building for years. There is also something revealing about the way Mars talks about performing. He has repeatedly emphasized the importance of experiencing music and performance in person. In the NBC interview, he discussed the importance of staying connected to feelings and experiencing things for yourself. That philosophy helps explain why another live performance of APT could matter to him. The song already exists online. It has already been performed at the Grammys. Millions of people already know every word. But a live performance in Korea would create something different. It would bring the song back into the cultural environment that inspired its signature chant. It would reunite two artists whose collaboration became unexpectedly historic. And it would give Korean fans a chance to experience APT with both performers on the same stage. That is the possibility fans are now imagining. And it explains why a short interview clip suddenly became one of the most talked about moments surrounding Mars' Korean return. There is no confirmed Rose appearance yet. But there is something almost equally powerful in entertainment: anticipation. The invitation is out there. The audience has heard it. And now everyone is waiting to see whether Rose answers. For Mars, the next chapter of the story could be as simple as walking onto a Korean stage, picking up his guitar, and hearing the opening rhythm of APT once again. Only this time, the question is whether Rose will be standing beside him. That uncertainty is exactly what has fans watching closely. Because the last time these two shared a stage on a global broadcast, they opened the Grammys together. The next time could happen in Korea. And if it does, the joke about Rose being expensive may suddenly look like the opening line of one of the most anticipated reunions of the romantic tour. For now, Mars has made his position clear. He wants Rosie back on stage. He wants APT in Korea. And joking aside, he appears to believe the moment would complete the journey that began with a simple Korean drinking game chant and became a worldwide pop phenomenon. Whether Rose answers that call remains the unanswered question. But one thing is already certain: the invitation has been made, the fans have heard it, and the possibility of another Bruno Mars and Rose performance has just become much harder to ignore.